Can I ask you a question? As a Manchester United supporter, are you watching England at the World Cup? Or are you like me? Gradually over time, you've become disinterested. Why? Because after multiple managers, different styles of play, England very rarely select Manchester United players anymore. Why? Well, everybody knows Manchester United have a history with England, even though we've supplied some of the greatest players in history they've ever had. Let's just take Bobby Charlton for example. He's always overlooked when England talk about the 1966 World Cup. He was the person that got them to the final. He scored in the semi-final. However, on multiple occasions, he gets overlooked for Bobby Moore and Sir Geoff Hurst. Fast forward to the 90s, the class of 92, the England squad was littered with them. However, every time Manchester United players were playing for England, they would be booed, and that is for real. England supporters would proudly sing, "Stand up if you hate Man United." But still, Manchester United supporters supported them along the way. People like me. And remember, 1998, what happened to David Beckham? It was absolutely scandalous. What he did, yes, was totally wrong, but you know what happened after that. It was one of the greatest seasons in history that someone ever had. In fact, David Beckham should have went on to get the Ballon d'Or, but he was criminally robbed by UEFA. Now, there's something they call the Golden Generation. Around about 2002, England produced some of the best players in the world. Rio Ferdinand, Paul Scholes, Frank Lampard, John Terry, Steven Gerrard, Michael Owen, Gary Neville, Paul Scholes. These players were absolutely fantastic for their clubs, but for their country, well, they were awful. They could not play together. And when you see them talk about England now, they always seem to go on about how fractured that squad was. Because of their alliances to their Premier League clubs, they very rarely interacted with each other in the way a team should, especially in a national team. So, taking that into account, over the years, since Manchester United players are no longer selected, well, I've actually become disinterested. Why? Because it's quite simple. Man United have some very experienced players. And yes, no one has a God-given right to be selected for your national team. But the way I think about it is that if you've got players like Harry Maguire, why not? Usually experienced. Because the other day when England played Ghana, Concert gave away an absolute 100% stonewall penalty. It was absolutely criminal that VAR did not check it. I felt so sorry for Ghana. Now this has been happening since 2002. For me, gradually, my interest for England has come down a lot. And don't get me wrong, I will actually admit, under Gareth Southgate, he was actually a decent manager. He had a style of play, very boring. However, he got the job done. And you know what? He actually did select Manchester United players. But unfortunately, the other players were totally shit. So what happened in the end? Well, they got as far as they could, and they stumbled at the last block. He did have the best record since 1966, so you've got to give it to Gareth Southgate. However, since then, Thomas Tuchel, he very rarely selects a Manchester United player. He just about got Kobbie Mainoo in the team, and obviously they've got Marcus Rashford. But again, can you consider him a Manchester United player anymore? I reckon Kobbie Mainoo is a generational talent. The thing is right now, don't get me wrong, England are producing some amazing midfielders. Declan Rice, Elliot Anderson, Morgan Rogers, and fair enough, there's a lot of competition. But that being said, England are just England for me. Yes, it would be great to see the team that wins the World Cup in the country that I live in, but, and this is a big but, do I have the same passion as I did maybe 10 years ago? No. But that doesn't mean I don't like international football. Are you like me who loves watching every other game in the World Cup, whether it's Senegal, Ghana, Algeria, Morocco, the South American teams? The World Cup has been absolutely fantastic for this. Have you noticed the quality of the teams has risen? The way they play, the way they set up, the way they press. Football is becoming a bit more of a level playing field. Why? Because I guess more and more foreign players are playing in Europe and they're playing in leagues that are very competitive. They get a lot more experience. They're exposed to a lot more better football now. So this means they take that back into their national teams, and you can see where teams are getting draws when they shouldn't. Teams are beating teams when they should. Look at Ecuador, who have just beaten Germany, 4 times winners. That is an absolute shocker. And remember last World Cup when Saudi Arabia actually beat Argentina 2-1. In this World Cup, there's been a lot of draws. I mean, Cape Verde have reached the next phase. That's absolutely amazing for them. Yes, you might think that FIFA have just introduced a bigger World Cup, an extra round, and these teams will probably lose out anyway. But that doesn't matter. Why? Because when you do the eye test, these teams are actually playing really well. I think they attack really well and they press. It's just that lack of quality up front where they can't get the ball in the back of the net. And getting the ball in the back of the net is one of the hardest things to do in football. So if you're like me, as I said, I actually enjoy watching all the other teams. I enjoy the competitive matches. I stay up late to watch them, and hopefully we get a few surprises. Last time, obviously, we had Morocco. Looking at their team right now, they look like a real team. They've got that young kid in there, Boadi, that looks absolutely amazing. You know what? If I'm the scouts at Manchester United, I'll be looking at him. I know he's young. However, if he's ever interested in coming, Man United should be in for players like that. That being said, the World Cup is a great place to actually look for players. Now, don't get me wrong, you should never sign anyone on back of a World Cup. Just look at James Rodriguez. He had a fantastic World Cup. When he signed for Real Madrid, it didn't work out at all. And then he went around Europe and he even ended up at Everton at one point. I would not be signing players at the World Cup. I'll tell you something interesting. Have you been watching Diamonde? His World Cup has been awful. He gives the ball away. He has a touch that balloons off him, just like Lukaku's. And he runs out of space when he keeps running down the line. He gives the ball away, as I've said. So Liverpool going in for 100 million with it for him? Well, good luck to them, because I'm telling you now, he does not look like a player. Definitely does not look like a 100 million euro player. But I will say, for these players, they can put themselves in the shop window. It's a great place for players from unknown teams, unknown leagues to really showcase their talent. So I wouldn't dismiss it totally, but like I said, you have to go with precaution when you're signing players on back of a World Cup. Now, back to England. They probably will get to a quarter-final, a semi-final this year. Looking at their route, it is quite easy. You know, the amount of teams that are in the World Cup right now, yes, England should be beating teams that are around them. However, that draw against Ghana, England just reminded me of England teams before. And the attitude of Thomas Tuchel, yes, he won that Champions League, but boy, it was one of the worst Champions League finals ever in history. So that being said, you know, I do expect England to go far. But am I getting excited about it? Yes, I am watching the games. It's because of the Man United connection. And I'll be honest with you, I'll say it openly. Because we don't have enough players in there, I've lost a bit of interest. And that being said, yes, I was born in England, but I think I'm a lot like a lot of supporters right now in England. Systematically, the media have destroyed them. Systematically, the managers have destroyed them. The style of players destroyed them. So I'm not surprised that it's not me. It's not just me that has this type of attitude. So what do you guys think? Who are you watching at the World Cup? Who is your dark horse? Japan are doing really, really well, and they've got a bit of a reputation. Who else can actually go far and maybe even potentially challenge Argentina to win it? Can England win it? What do you think? I guess it's each to their own. Are you guys who are from England fully behind England? Or just like me, have taken a step back and just watching the World Cup for what it is? A showcase of football, a showcase where other players from other nations can show their talent, because that's why I'm enjoying it. So I guess my opinion may be quite controversial, especially for someone who's born in England. But you know what? We're in 2026. I guess you can support whoever you want to these days. And I really hope that the World Cup continues to be a festival of football as it's already shown to be. I guess the last thing to say is please like and subscribe. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll be back.